Hello, I'm Graham, and this is Graham on Gaming. And this is the 1992 Fall and Winter Consumers Distributing Catalog. So, what Consumers Distributing was, it was this catalog store that started in 1957, and it started in New Jersey, but it expanded throughout US and Canada, and it actually at its peak in the 80s, it had more stores in Canada than it had in the US, ironically, because there are far fewer people in Canada than there are in the US. And it did have success over the years, but in the 90s, even in the 80s, it was struggling because there were stores like Hudson's Bay, Zellers, and in 1994, not Sears, but Walmart. The Walmart chain came to Canada in March of 1994, so that kind of wiped it out. And in 1996, Consumers Distributing closed its doors and it was no more. And it was kind of an interesting premise because it was a store. It was an actual store. It wasn't just a catalog. You'd go to a sort of a smaller retail outlet where they'd have glass cabinets showing certain items. But what you do is that there were catalogs all over the store, and you look for the items that you wanted in the catalogs, and you'd find the numbers, and you'd go to the clerk, who'd go to the back and get the item. And it had what also hurt it was that there was, for some reason, this perception that a lot of stores had a lot of stock out of stock, and apparent because they had boards saying which items were out of stock. So I guess that led to the idea that a lot of items were always out of stock. Plus, I mean, the idea of going to a store where people would go to the back and you'd go through a catalog, then somebody would go to the back rather than you look at the items yourself, like go to Walmart, Zellers, the Bay, or wherever, and getting something off the shelf for yourself. I don't know, it might have just seemed easier. But anyway, this is the Fall-Winter 1992 catalog. Also, to note, the catalog costed money. The catalog costed $3, which I don't know, I just imagine that they want to use advertising money to give people the catalog for free, so they want to go and buy stuff. But I don't know, I don't know much about their marketing or marketing in general. That maybe they needed to do that. So, just on the front cover, I always think, because what are the people doing now? Like, these people must be a lot of, like, this was 24 years ago. This kid definitely is an adult now. I would have been 7 at the time, 7 years old at the time. No, 6 years old. I was born in '86. Don't even know my age. So I remember always, like, everything was color coded for different sections of the different departments of the store, and like, appliances were pages 160, 130. So it's pretty self-explanatory. But what we want to see, what I want to show you, is Sound and Vision and Just for Kids, which video games happen to be under. So Sound and Vision's page 210. Well, actually, let's see something first here, like the watches. I think that might be worth looking at, because I remember there was, maybe not here. Maybe there were, now, a lot of watches seem to be pretty gaudy looking. Don't like them. But, oh, well, we'll skip. Oh, actually, it was the digital watches that I was looking for, and I always thought those looked stupid. I think they still, I'm not in the market for watches, but they still sell them. I just think they look for, like, there's something for kids. But yeah, what was it? 210. Actually, let's not go all the way there yet, because these are really interesting too. This is a Brother word processor notebook, and it costed it was $498.88. That's really important, the 88 cents, because, well, with these were interesting. They replaced, they were an electronic replacement to standard typewriters. Well, these were electronic typewriters, but they were basically a replacement for typewriters. And for an extra $198.88, you would buy a Brother printer with that. And it was an 8K memory printer, dot matrix printing, 4 different type styles. So yeah, for about $600, you'd get yourself a word processor and printer. And it's very obvious why those are obsolete today. And it's kind of obvious why these are obsolete too. I mean, your computer is sort of all in one now, and you can have a printer on it. But I still think like typewriters, especially non-electronic ones, they're still kind of cool. And I know that there are, like in antique shops, especially for old typewriters, they're sought after for collectors. I don't know if these ones are. Well, this one was only $88.88. The black one was kind of nicer, $119.88. These ones at the top were like, well, that one's $224.88. But, oh, and ink ribbons were $49.38 each. $50 for an ink ribbon. Well, hopefully that lasted a while. But mind you, ink today for printers costs a bit of money still. And these were old. What are the organizers? Old organizers, data banks. You could put phone numbers, people's addresses, and schedules, and anything. You just whatever you needed in there, you put it in, and it'd be like this one's $199.88. Nowadays, they're kind of replaced by smartphones. So yeah, like the more expensive one was by Olivetti super powerful electronic organizer. QWERTY keyboard, 26 character by 8-line display. Features include graphics display, expense management, 3 phone lists, memo, schedule, calendar, metric/currency conversion, home world time, help function, and more. I wonder how you'd update the currency conversion when things are changed. And it'd be 128K memory, because currency conversion, even day to day, it can be different. And these are the more advanced ones for professionals that need them. Oh, and that would have a calculator thing its own calculator on the side. Neat. That one's 32K memory. Only 32K. The other one's 128K. Oh, calculators, regular calculators like this TI-81. Of course, the TI-83s are still sort of the standard in schools. This one's $119.88. These at the bottom, these organizers, were sort of more advanced, or I don't know how different they are than these other data organizers, but yeah, these ones would basically do the same thing, business organizers. And they're calculators. These ones kind of look kind of cool. These ones look cool, they look professional. And you could put like cards on the side and stuff. I think these are, well, they're grades 11 to university and professional, so they were that was number 5, so it's Sharp EL 5020 programmable scientific 202 function calculator for $34.88. Not bad, I guess, for the time. And more calculators here. And these were at the time popular because they were answering machines. And I remember that's the one my parents had, I think. Yeah, that is the one my parents had. It was $100, $99.88 back then. And yeah, basically answering machines, they plug into your wall. If your phone didn't answer, it would pick up after a certain amount of rings. And people would leave a message on the after the beep. Basically the same thing today, but it's done over call, whatever it's called, over your cell phone. Yeah, but back then people had to use a tape for it. These ones, more advanced ones, but phones here were, I mean, I'm sure you can still buy these in the store. Standard phones, $198.78. Oh, this one was $158.88. Oh yes, and portable phones, cordless phones. This one's expensive, $278.88 and $248.88. I think that's the one my parents had too. I think it was a long time ago. But oh no, I think that's the one my parents had. Yeah, I remember it was plain like that. Still expensive, $134.77. At least it wasn't $134.88 because that would be a no sale. Wow, these did go up in price. And I think some of them had a built-in, what am I looking, I can't find the words. Answering machines, built-in answering machines. I think some of them did. Oh, like this one did, yeah. This one had a built-in answering machine. But it's basically standard telephones that I'm sure you can still buy today. Caller IDs, old caller IDs. If you didn't have a phone with a built-in caller ID, this is what you'd buy. $74.99 for the more expensive one, $49.88 for the cheaper one, and yeah. But nowadays, caller ID on smartphones, cell phones are very it's common. It's not something that you'd want to buy today. Old desks, which I'm sure is very similar today, except yeah, that lady looks very early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. She, like with her hair and glasses. Now let's go to more interesting things. Oh, sound and vision. These were audio video receivers. And this one was $279.88 for 60 watts per channel, 30 preset situations, remote control with PLL digital tuning, audio video switch. So I guess you could plug like your VCR in there and stuff like that to your TV, and you'd put the audio through that. And this was a tape-to-tape deck where you could record something, and of course you'd record because back then you didn't have the internet to download songs that you wanted. You'd wait for them to come on the radio, so you'd have to avoid you'd avoid buying them in stores on vinyl or anything like that, or CD, and or on cassette. So you'd wait for them to come on the radio and you'd record them off the radio. But CD changer was this 5 CD spindle changer for $239.80 in '98, $239.98. 5-disc carousel CD player with remote. CDs are definitely a better, I mean, vinyl or CD, much better quality than tape, but tape, I mean, was I guess a useful technology at the time. Now it's not. More CD changers and stereos. $400 for this Sanyo stereo, and another at the bottom for $300. So that one looks a lot more advanced, but I guess the speakers at the top were advanced, but that one's cheaper. So maybe the speakers are cheaper, who knows. It just with all its buttons and lever and switches and stuff looks it looks more advanced. Oh, and a karaoke machine. Some kid there. It's probably an adult now. Well, I mean, yeah, he's definitely an adult now. Where, yeah, people would, yeah, and there'd be tapes and all that for like $300. The cheaper one was $139.98 for the karaoke. Televisions. Geez, these televisions, I would actually really like to find one of these in good. They're all lying around very cheaply, but getting like a brand new one cheap today would be good, because for old things like N64, Atari 2600, Sega Genesis, Sony PlayStation, stuff like that, it was better. It looks better on these televisions than it does on high definition big screen televisions today. But yeah, for a 14-inch, it was $244.98. A 20-inch was $328.98. I'm sure a 20-inch would be good enough for like for N64 and PlayStation. That's what I played it on back then. That one kind of looks nicer. The Citizen one looks sort of sleeker than the GE one. Oh, and these were important if you had televisions that didn't have a built-in tuner for cable. So you'd plug the cable into these, and these would be able to switch channels. And especially if you didn't have a channel changer on your remote control. I always called it a channel changer when I was little. A remote control for your television. It would be, it'd be useful for that. If you didn't have a VCR, like these were, a good one was $79.98 or about $65 for decent ones. However, well, even a more expensive one was $94.98, almost $100 for it. VCRs, which are here, were $328.98 for a VCR there, and for a four head it was $328.98. For a two head, $298.98. But I mean, for like $150 more, you could buy a VCR rather than one of those switchers. And if you had the VCR, it would do that. It would do this, plus it would play tapes. And I don't know. I don't know why you'd buy this over a VCR. But maybe for like an alternate television where you don't use your VCR, but you still want to watch television, I guess it'd be a cheaper option. Old CD players, portable CD players, were quite expensive. Like the higher end one was $189.98, and the Sony one was $194.98. Those look very clunky to have on your side now, walking down in the street or something like that, listening to music. These are stereo boxes. Oh, and Walkmans, $44.88. Oh, these are significantly cheaper than the CD ones, but they'd be tape. They'd be cassette tape. And I guess cassette would be, I mean, even though CD's better quality, cassettes probably, if you're going back then, I'd get one of these over the CD, portable CD players, because, I mean, these are just a lot smaller. Those are just so bulky, clunky, and awkward. These ones seem just a lot better. And tapes too. Tapes were probably cheaper than CDs back then. I imagine CDs were a lot more expensive. Digital synthesizer tuner. I don't know what that would be. Oh, maybe that was, you know, I honestly can't tell you what that was. Oh, these were more cooler. These were nice looking, like that. I like the blue one there. The turquoise blue, the one in the front. $60. It still kind of looks clunky. It looks kind of awkward when somebody has it on their pants. Voice recorders, now they're digital. Batteries, they look the same now, except nowadays these, I remember these when they came in the middle of that, but now they're just on the battery when they come with them. Those middle things, strips to see how much power the batteries have. Now, oh, and earbuds and stuff like that. Pretty much standard stuff that you still get today. Alarm clocks, alarm clock telephones. Well, and we'll go to the back here for the video games. I guess these were carriers for if you want to take your Sega Genesis to your friend's house, I guess. $50 for that case. And it was $30 for a Super NES one. Or and $20 for the Game Boy one. Now the Game Boy. Yeah, the old Game Boy's $88.98. I'm sure that was a decent price back then, but the games, looking at the games that for Game Boy being, I don't know, $40, even $35, seems kind of expensive because they seem so much simpler now. For anything, I mean, it's surprising to see like a Sega Genesis game for, I don't know, $73.98, especially the sports games. I don't know why sports games, whenever I see these in older catalogs and flyers and stuff, sports games always seem more expensive for some reason. Or maybe that's just, I don't know. Krusty, I was talking about that last time, Krusty's Funhouse. I played that, which is down here on Genesis, $54.98. But yeah, it would be cool to go back and get a brand new Nintendo, a sealed NES with a sealed copy of Super Mario Brothers 3 for only $100. It's not bad for a brand new one today with the seal. I'm sure the sealed copy of Super Mario Brothers 3 would probably go on eBay for a few $100. So that'd be a deal. Game Genie. That was where you'd put in codes and stuff, and you could not hack a game, but sort of put cheats and stuff for a game, for different games. And for some reason, I don't know why, I got it confused with Mortal Kombat. And I saw it at a rental place, Mortal Kombat, and I got confused for that. And when I saw Game Genie on ads on TV, I wanted Game Genie, but I rented Mortal Kombat thinking it was Game Genie, but I mean, all the better for it because Mortal Kombat's pretty awesome. And Super NES here. Super NES was $100. The Super Scope, I'm trying not to wreck this. The Super Scope was $68.98, and it came with play one of six games included Space Adventures, target shooting, and puzzle games. Any size TV, on any size TV. Batteries included. Yeah, the Super Scope 6. $68.98. So the Super Nintendo was $99.98, and the Super Nintendo with 2 controllers and a game was $159.98. Still not, I guess if everything's sealed, that today that wouldn't be a bad price, I guess. Maybe. Yeah. I guess it's whatever anybody's willing to pay for it. The games, yeah. Zelda 3, 54.98. Another Krusty's Super Fun House. I'm trying to hold this better. Krusty's Super Fun House. Turtles 4, 67.98. Street Fighter 2, 84.98. That's even expensive for today. I mean, you know, games now are like $79 in Canada at least, but Contra 3, 69.98. 72.98 for Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Super Double Dragon. Yeah, if I was picking up games, if I was an adult back then, I'd probably want Zelda, Street Fighter 2, Contra. Trying not to wreck this. I'm not doing a good job at that. Contra. Was that? Oh, I thought that said Super Wolfenstein, but Super WrestleMania. SimCity. Double Dragon. Yeah, I'd want to pick that up. A Final Fantasy 2. I'd want to pick that up too. I want to pick up a lot of them. These coupons would be are very out of date. They expired on September 19th, 1992. And on the back, finally, Sega Genesis. I had in '94 for my 8th birthday, I got a second generation Sega Genesis, the smaller version, and I think it looked nicer than this one. 139.98, about 99. Oh, with the game, 138.98 with the game, with Sonic the Hedgehog, and 99.98 for just the game without any game, just the console without any games. And the extra controllers were like $20. It's kind of a good deal because today they're the same price as a new game. Tasmania, Batman Returns. Holyfield Boxing. I remember that game, but I remember it with a different cover. Green Dog. I don't remember that game. Dungeons and Dragons. Kid Chameleon. Revenge of Shinobi. I like the Shinobi games. Golden Axe. And Game Gear. I had a Game Gear, but I wasn't a big fan of it, even at the time. And the batteries did not last long at all. I do remember about my mom really liked Columns. It was sort of like a Tetris game, sort of not really Bejeweled. You had to get 3 of the same color in a column. But yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog, Columns, and I remember there was a Shinobi game for Game Gear. And Game Gear costed $139.98 after rebate with a Sonic game, $109.98 without the Sonic game. But you could also, I guess this was sort of like a special thing back then it was a novelty, portable television. You could put a portable television tuner on it, and it would be, a portable television tuner would cost $147.88. So you just get a few channels, like 3-4 channels, the local channels, and it would be really terrible quality. And you'd spend $150 for that, $140 for that, and really crappy quality television, portable, that would last like, I don't know, half hour on the batteries. And the Game Gear games, which Sonic, yeah, that looked like the only, and Ninja Gaiden. I didn't have Ninja Gaiden, but that looks interesting. It seems like it would be an interesting game on the Game Gear. So yeah, this was Consumers Distributing, Fall and Winter 1992. I find going back really interesting. I have more to come. I have more Sears Wish books from the 90s, the late 90s, and Consumers Distributing books up until the end of Consumers Distributing 96. So thanks for watching if you did. Thanks for sticking around if you did. Sorry about rambling, but yeah, it's catalog and there's nothing really much else to say.